Hello everyone, Chuck Quinton here with Rotary Swing Golf, and I wanted to show you what kind of progress you can make when you're following the videos on the website. And so I pulled up a student here who I've given 4 lessons to, and I'm going to walk you through the sequence. A lot of people have requested this, like what's it like taking a lesson and getting several lessons, and what can you expect in results, and how does it apply to the videos I'm learning on the website, and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm going to show you here. So I have a student up here. We're going to do before and after here. We're going to walk you through videos from all 4 lessons. So they were followed once a week for 4 weeks. And so here's where we started with on the left. So there's going to be a basic trend here that you're going to see. So as we start, a couple things that you're going to notice right away. One, notice how that right knee is starting to get into a really weak position, bowed out, left knee starting to get buckled in, and almost has the look of a little bit of a reverse pivot, or his upper body's starting to want to fall back, and this is because his hips and his knees have shifted out from under him. So he's in a pretty weak and unstable position here, to say the least. The cause of this, the culprit, is because he's a little bit too right side dominant, or a lot too right side dominant, in his backswing and downswing. So he's trying to heave this right arm up into a powerful position and dominate the swing with just the right side of the body. And of course, this is going to create a lot of problems in the downswing. So as we start down, you'll see right away that he's starting to move his hands, throw his hands out away from him. He's going to throw the club away a little bit. He's going to start to lose a lot of lag. And by the time he gets about halfway down, he's already lost a tremendous amount of lag. And as we near closer to impact, he's pretty much spent everything he has left in his wrist. He has nothing left to hit with, and so he's going to kind of scoop and flip into impact. And you'll see that left wrist breaking down, the right wrist fully extended. It's flexing that left wrist back, and so left wrist is cupping, breaking down. So, as I mentioned, this is all a culprit from starting the swing, trying to get the right arm into a really loaded position at the top, and then throwing the club, throwing the right arm at the ball, the right wrist at the ball, dominating the swing with the right hand. So of course, the first thing that we do is we start trying to get him to be more left side dominant. So here's how we started that. So I'll actually walk through even his drills here. So the first thing you're going to notice, I'm going to walk through a few different things. Even from his drill, I'm going to put him back at the top of his swing right here. So just going left arm only, notice the massive difference in these 2 positions. Just making a practice swing. Here he's obviously loading up the right arm. Here his right arm's not even involved. I've taken it off the club. But notice the massive difference in his lower body. This should tell you something. When you're very right side dominant, you're trying to load that right side too much, trying to get all your power out of it, because again, as I've talked about in many videos on the site and on YouTube, how we all tend to be right side dominant, most golfers are, and so we do everything in our normal daily lives with our right side and our right hand. In the golf swing, it's no different, of course. But when you see all these tour players, they look very similar at the top of the swing and at impact. The reason is they know the secret that you don't, is that the golf swing's primarily lead arm, or left arm for right-handers, lead arm dominant. And so you can see all of a sudden, by just getting him to just focus on swinging the club back with his lead arm, he still makes a nice big full shoulder turn, in fact a bigger one, because he's got more weight on the right side. It's easier to make a full shoulder turn. His left knee's not buckled in and his right knee's not bowed out. All of a sudden, all these great things happen. It's amazing what you can do when you just understand very simple mechanics of the swing. So now as we start down, notice halfway down, so we'll get his left arm parallel to the ground here, roughly parallel. It's a little bit off there, frames aren't quite exact here, but you're going to see a big difference. Get them as close as we can, roughly about the same spot, in the positions of the club. Now don't ignore this bowing of the shaft. This is just all shot with an iPad, and the processor can't keep up with this stuff. It's moving too fast, so that's what it distorts it. So don't worry about that. The shaft's not actually meant like that. If you see that on your videos at home, don't worry about it. But you can see that the amount of lag that he has now, with his right hand's taken off and it can't be pushing against the shaft to cause it to throw away, that he has a tremendous amount more lag as he comes into impact than what he had before. Massive difference. In fact, at this point, I'd say actually he's bordering on having a little bit too much. He'd have to really work hard to release that club in time at the last second there. And we also notice that his left hand, long before the club ever gets into the impact area, his left hand's up here by his left thigh, like I preach in the impact videos. And here he's already released the club long before that. So just by making one simple change, by taking the right arm out of it, getting him to swing left arm only, just having him go back and forth, not even giving him a lot of mechanical instruction. I'm just having him start to learn to train the left arm like I do in the left arm downswing drill on the website. Just working on that and focusing on swinging the club with holding onto the club with the last 3 fingers of the left hand, not pushing against the shaft with the thumb. That's critical because that can also push the club out and cause you to throw the lag away. So this was the first lesson. This is what we accomplished in lesson 1, and he did great with it. So we just focused on nothing but that. Now, as I wanted to work up to hitting balls in this hour-long lesson, which we don't always do, but I wanted to work up to actually hitting balls, and you'll notice how I have him holding his right hand on the club. I don't want him to mess up all the good work we've just done. So I've had him basically open palming, what I call open palming the club, his right hand, so he can't grip it and wrap his fingers around it and start to want to get back into that right side dominant mode. So he's just basically mirroring the movements and helping support the club a little bit with his right hand. So you'll notice as he gets that, he's going to want to get back into his old habits a little bit. Not quite as good as he was at the top before, but still better than where he started. And again, just by taking that right arm out of the equation here. So now as he comes down, not letting him use it. Like you see in the 5 minutes of the perfect release video and a lot of other videos on the website, right hand's coming off long before impact, and you can see we're in much, much better positions here. Maintain the lag a lot longer, and then he actually gets into a little bit better impact position. It's not great yet, so of course in the next lesson that's what we tackle. So here he's got a little bit of breaking down, a little bit of pushing with that thumb that's causing the left wrist to cup a little bit, and so we'll work into that as we come back. We'll leave this guy up here for a second because that one's going to be pretty bad. But again, we haven't worked on impact yet. So now let's go to lesson 2. So now in lesson 2 we're reinforcing what we did before. Again, continuing to get him to focus on swinging left hand, but he's had a week to work on it now. So you're going to notice looking pretty good. Starting to look like a golfer here. Big shoulder turn, knees aren't so buckled out, he's cupping his body a lot more stacked, and so now he's gotten a lot more comfortable swinging with this left arm only, but he's able to get into good positions all the way down, losing a little bit of lag still. It's not perfect, it's only been a week, but he gets into a really good impact position, and this is after we've worked on the impact alignment, the stuff you see in the impact alignments video, and the 5 minutes to the perfect release. So I'm having him focus on getting his wrist into a proper position here. And again, the shaft's not really bent this much, it's just the camera. But his wrist is in an excellent position. It's up here by his left thigh. And so now he's able to get into a really good position and start to work on releasing the club. And notice how the club is releasing by his left forearm rotating over rather than his body releasing. So notice his right heel is still staying on the ground. When you're swinging left arm only, there's no need for your right side of your body to come through the shot. That only happens when the right arm's still attached to the club. So that's what we worked on in lesson 2, is getting into a good impact position and start. And so now this is lesson 3. Just happens to be wearing the same outfit. But as we come into lesson 3, we've worked more on, he's had more time to work on the left arm stuff, and we worked more focusing on getting into a better impact position. Now you can start to see, again, we'll go back on the first lesson, massive differences in the angles that he has created here with his, by learning how to use the left arm and the body to start to move the club instead of just his right arm like you see here. The difference in lag is night and day, especially for being 2 weeks after his first lesson. Here's an excellent position to be in. Again, left hand is getting into a perfect impact position that you can see here. Again, shaft's not really that bent. The left arm is in a great position. He's no longer scooping and flipping it, and he's learning to release the club. You can see how much wider his release is here because he's learned to release the club and let it go with his left hand by rolling those knuckles under on his left hand. So I gave him a few different thoughts or visuals here. Sometimes I'll have people feel like they're backhanding me here, so I'll put my hand right here and have him try and kind of hit me with the back of his left hand, with the wrist of his left hand, and then I'll talk about pointing that logo down at the ground if he's kind of scooping it and flipping it, or talk about rolling these knuckles, your last three knuckles on your left hand, rolling them under so that the club rotates over and the toe rotates over. So there's a beautiful impact and release position here. Again, big difference. So now keep working on those moves. So the last lesson, so this is lesson 4 weeks into it. Now that he's trained the left arm has a great idea of what to do. The right side's not so dominant. They're learning to work together a lot better. Now I wanted him to have something else to help move the club. We want to always have momentum, and we're basically managing momentum in the golf swing. You don't want to have to be yanking the club down with your arms, but if you're not using your body correctly, that's kind of going to be what you're forced to do because you don't have anything else to create momentum in the swing. So what I had him do here is that RST step drill. And so basically I'm having him start to create some momentum with the big muscles, with his body, with his mass. So as he steps to the right, it's helping move the club and get some mass and momentum moving to the right. And then as he steps back to the left, now you'll notice one of the things that you see all the time, the tour players and all amateurs always wonder how they do it. Notice that his weight is beginning to move. He's taking a step back with his left side, but the club is still traveling back. So his lower body is transitioning into the downswing mode, but the club is still clearly traveling in the backswing mode. And now as he pushes that left heel on the ground and stabilizes his pelvis, pushes the left foot in, he starts to get where he can have a really stable impact position and a great impact position with his left arm, right heel still down, rolling to the inside, club's releasing properly, everything's looking great here, and he's learning again to use that RST tempo drill to add momentum to the swing so he doesn't have to just try and muscle the club. And so now all of these things are starting to kind of come together, making a much more powerful athletic move. You can see at the top that he is much more, get it over there, obviously getting much more loaded on the right compared to where he was. If we look back earlier, you can see how that right knee is buckled out. Now he's got his weight over it, and this kind of falling back to the target position doesn't make any sense. So he's set up where he's got a little bit of axis tilt. He's more behind the ball, and then as he makes a good assertive move into it, he's got to use some power from his lower body, from his glutes, from his quads, from his hamstrings, that he can use the ground for leverage. He's got tremendous lag at this point. Again, massive difference from where we were just 3 weeks ago. It's a massive, massive difference in the angle of the shaft. And then as he comes down into impact, he's doing a great job. He's worked hard on getting this left wrist into a good impact position. He knows exactly what it should feel like now. Beautiful impact position there, perfect. This is just about textbook for this drill. It's perfect. Obviously, you don't need a lot of hip rotation at this point. Shoulders are nice and square. Right foot's rolled in. Weight's planted on the left. Beautiful. So now, the proof is in the pudding as we go to hit balls. This is the challenging part when we put that little white devil in the way. So as we go back, he's going to take a step back to the right, again to help get some momentum, to get the club started without just having to pick it up with your hands. He's made a big step over to the right. Big turn. Now he's starting to look like a real golfer here. He's got that nice separation. His lower body's starting to move back to the left while he's got a great big shoulder turn here. Starting to, you'll see, not an we talk about the squat move a lot on the website, and a lot of people just don't quite understand. They think they've got to lunge down at the ground and their head drop 18 inches or something. It's not like that. As he's stepping over, watch. Get that line in the right spot. All right. This line does not want to go in the right spot. Let me try this one more time. Pretend to draw it up here. There we go. So now, watch how as his lower body begins to flex, and he increases the flex in his knees just a little bit as he's making a step, which is instinctive to do. He's getting lower to the ground, and he looks in a much more powerful position. Because his legs, if they're fully extended, they can't do anything else. If your legs are straight, your hips are straight, your knees are locked out, you can't do anything with your legs to create any power. So that's why you look like you have this head drop. Again, tons of lag, posted up, impact position's fantastic, left wrist is perfect here, right ankle's rolled in, left leg's posted up, and he's going to release the club really well. You'll see nice good release of the toe of the club here. Notice how his hips aren't spinning around like they used to. We can flip back through that, get the club in the same spot there roughly. Notice how high his right heel is on the ground, and he's turned his hips a lot more. Now his hips are much more under control, which is critical for stability and safety and being able to control the flight of the ball, and he gets around to a finish. So in 4 weeks, if you work through left arm downswing drill, 5 minutes to the perfect release, that VJ release drill, you saw that in there a couple of times where I'm having him release the club with the right hand, literally, or let go of it. There's a reason it's called the release, right? Release means to let go. And that RST tempo drill that you saw used here at the end, you too can make these tremendous changes in your swing in no time at all and start hitting the ball further with less effort, and start doing it today.